Welcome to the show, Gilly. I'm so excited for this. Okay, for those who are tuning in, we literally have been on the phone or on recording for 20 minutes and we're finally diving in because we've been meaning to catch up. But Gilly, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so honored and so excited to be here. I've learned so much from you, and I just love being in your presence, Kai. You're just like the best. So thank you.
You too. So I mentioned this in the intro, but Gilly came into my world through Kathy Heller. So there's always so many things I can be grateful for that connection. But I'm here and I want to dive right in with you. And so talk to me about how you actually didn't start with a podcast. You started doing other stuff like Instagram lives and Zoom. So this strategy is cool, but I love that it ended up moving you towards a podcast. So talk to us about that journey.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, you're the reason it's more of a podcast than it was a show. It used to be a show. Here's how it went. Years ago, I was hired from a local magazine. It's called Be Local Bergen in Bergen County, New Jersey, to interview people doing cool things in the community. So, from young to old, all different types of people, whether they were a charity leader, somebody, a little kid on Broadway, an autistic music writer, teachers. I mean, once a month for 3 years. And that went on their Facebook and Instagram. And then after 3 years, many people were asking me, hey, can I be on your show? But they weren't in New Jersey. And I said, well, let me see. So I spoke to the publisher and he was like, of course you can go out on your own. And the idea of this Everyday Rockstars was yours. So I'll hire you when we have, New Jersey people, but you go do you. And so I started interviewing people in like Los Angeles and New York City and all over. But I didn't have the whole podcast platform stuff down. I just knew Instagram. So I knew how to do an Instagram live. I knew how to take a Zoom and edit it down to to make a reel. I think it's 15 minutes or less on Instagram. So I was really just keeping it tight, these conversations. I tried to make them 15 minutes on Zoom and wrap it up. 4 questions, done. And then it was great. It worked because people don't necessarily have the biggest attention spans. Some people are really great with a 14-minute, Instagram show. And it worked for 3 years after this magazine. I've been doing this for so long. And then all of a sudden, that back almost a year ago, I joined Kathy's collective. And in that collective, I met you. But this was before I was listening to her podcast during that time. And there was an episode where she's interviewing you. And I tell you, I reached out to her right after and I was like, I want you on my podcast. She wrote me back and said yes. Based on the things that you conversed about on there, you said something, she made a comment like, if you had 60 women in a room that you can promote your products to, don't think that your platform's too small because wouldn't you want to go sell your product to 60 women? So I regurgitated that to her in the message. And she was like, I'll come on your show. And then in that moment, I was like, wait a minute, this woman talks a lot. So do I. There's no way we're talking for 14 minutes. There's no way an interview is going to be 14 minutes. And I was listening to everything you guys were saying about how it's doable to put it on Spotify and Apple. And I just came home and I Googled it or chat GPT'd. And then the next thing you know, I'm on Buzzsprout, putting it on Apple and Spotify. And I brought over the woman who was editing it for me before, and she figured it out in 2 seconds. And voila, there it was. Because of your conversation with Kathy, I was like, all right, it's time. It's I've been doing this for 6 years already, as a Instagram show, and I can't officially call it a podcast if it's not in that little purple app. So I'm making it a podcast. So that's how it happened. It's been since, I don't know, at least 6 months now. It's been on Apple and Spotify, and I love it.
Oh my
You learn
gosh.
so much from Kylie.
It's so fun. I just love the progression of it and how cool that I mean, because that's one of the things so many podcasters that are new are like, well, I'm just so nervous to interview or just, and so you came in with those tools. So no wonder Everyday Rockstars is doing so well. So do you still repurpose those 14-minute clips or have you like gone through all of them and now you're recording new only? Like, what does that look like?
So they live on Instagram at Everyday Rockstars. And I share them out when it's like an anniversary, but rock stars that are on the show are always doing rock star things. So, like, if I see you, who thank you for gracing my show, having a mastermind or launching a program, I want to share you out to my story. So, I'm constantly reminding people, like, hey, check out what this rock star is up to. So, Instagram gets its own attention, especially when there's a new episode. So, the only difference now, I was already doing that heavy lifting of editing
No.
an Instagram show. It's actually not as hard. Well, it's hard, but like if you don't mess up too much, putting the whole conversation on Apple and Spotify is easier than editing the clips. What makes it into those 14 minutes so that I could also fit maybe a sponsor or a plug for my business. So I think that's been the hardest, but it's so fun. It's a labor of love because I love the people that are on my show.
That is so fun, Gilly. And like that's where we started because I knew you had that fun strategy. And I wanted people to hear like the different ways that not only podcasts come about, but they can think about using their podcast. But your story started way before you were invited to do those interviews for those magazines. So
Totally.
you have an amazing organic skincare line called Gilly's Organics. Everybody go out, buy it because it's so good. It is amazing. So I somewhere along the way heard that like lotions that the first ingredients is water is like not going to do a lot for your skin. So Gilly sends me her lotion and the first ingredient is aloe vera. And I'm like, okay, this is the real deal. And our family is obsessed with it. So you created that and then moved into the other areas. But I know you have a unique and very like strength first story with Gilly's. And I'd love to hear that story.
First of all, I thank you for that. Gilly's Organics is still my baby, and I'm so proud of the products. And she's growing. This baby's still growing up. She's almost 20 years old. I mean,
Oh,
it's been a long time, and it's evolved, and it's been really fun. I do love talking about health and wellness, especially for your skin. It's still my love language. And what podcasting has helped me do, and for sure speaking engagements, is prepped me for where I am right now, where I am having back-to-back speaker nights in early March at a beauty event where I'm speaking about the good quality ingredients versus what you should not put on your face and things like that. So it's prepped me, and podcasting gets easier and easier and easier for me. First of all, we can edit, which is a beautiful thing, unless it's alive. And so what if you mess up? Humans mess up, right? I mess up all the time. But it has definitely helped my business. So I just want to say that one of the first podcasts I was ever on was from this woman she's a chef. And not the first, but ever since that podcast episode, and I was like, who's going to hear this? I don't know. You never know who's listening. One woman fell in love with my products, and for the past 5 years, she has been a subscriber every single month, replenishing her products. So you just never know who's listening. I think that's a really cool thing about it. That's another reason why I decided to go and make it an actual podcast on Apple and Spotify, because there's just a broader reach, and
100%.
watching something's harder. Like you have to commit to those 15 minutes, but if you're on a walk and you listen, it's different. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. And I just, I think that like in our minds, the downloads were so inflated for so many years. And so like even new podcasters used to hear like, oh, people are getting 1 million downloads and they think that that's the goal. And it's like, again, what if you touch 100 lives and like, what
Mhm.
if 60 people, or if you said 60 before, so we'll go with that, but what if 60 people decided to start buying your product or decided to, you know,
Huge.
buy your product, your digital course product, or just listen to your
Yeah,
podcast and like walk away with a huge takeaway. I think
I
sometimes
agree.
but
I agree 100%. And I think that usually entrepreneurs have like a lot of passions, right? And I feel like this is my creative outlet. But I also, my podcast is called Everyday Rockstars. So
Mhm,
it's a little bit about me, but it's really about the guest. So
mhm.
I get to get remotivated in Gilly's Organics every single week. So if I meet you and you tell me something so special, you said something so special on my podcast, Kylie, I was crying. It reminds you of something in your life. In your case, it was motherhood. That reminds me of something that I have in my life that I should either be grateful for or I could cultivate. I've had people on my show that I've interviewed say some of the coolest things that keep them in rock star mode. And so I benefit. Sure, they get exposure, they get content, they get to be like, I was on this podcast, they get views, but I get something from it so powerful. It re energizes my product based business because I get this motivation. I mean, from all different types of people, authors, actors, product based businesses, podcasters, news people. It's just like everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And it's cool to hear it. I know you know because you get to interview people all the time too. So that's to me, it's the best.
Oh, I mean, I completely agree, and it's so fun because when I've interviewed, like, a lot of people I've interviewed, I'll ask them, like, "What has been the best thing about podcasting?" And it's just, like, the relationships, the conversations, like, and it's when you start a podcast, you don't necessarily think you would never probably think that that would be your answer,
Yeah,
but it's, like, time and time again, it's what I hear, and so
agree.
you are an entrepreneur in many aspects. What's been the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur?
Woo.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes for me, it's turning it off at night, but I'm
Mhm.
getting really good, just like anything else, like a muscle, where when you do something enough times, you're able to tell yourself, I got this. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, time to put it away, read a book, take the Epsom salt bath,
Yeah.
put the phone away. Like really, it's hard sometimes because I'm like, oh, the podcast, the speaking engagement. Oh, I have a
Mhm.
coaching collective. We could talk about that. Orders. I just hired somebody. She's amazing, but like I still have to train and things like that. So the mind is always going. And so for me, my biggest challenge would be that I've become someone that's like very organized because sometimes I could just be like very Pisces. This is my birthday month. I could be very like all over the place, like I see something and it catches my eye and then I want to do that versus being organized. And I've learned to hire those types of amazing women in my life and men, mostly women that keep me sort of grounded because I can get all over the place too. So,
Oh. Okay,
so
wait, when's your birthday?
it's next week. It's February 24th.
Okay,
So
I was like, "Wait, are we in Pisces now?" Okay. Oh, I love that.
starting. Yeah.
Well,
So a week
happy.
from today is my
Oh,
birthday. And I love this month. It's fun.
ugh,
But everyone loves their birthday month, don't they?
yeah. Okay.
um, so yeah, those are the biggest challenges, I think. I think that's universal. I think a lot for a lot of just moms and women and
Mhm.
business women and not just business owners, but sometimes you're able to leave it at the office. In
Mhm.
this day and age, this digital day and age where you're like accessible at all times, I do think it's a challenge for most people to shut
Yeah.
it off.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And what has been the biggest blessing for you being an entrepreneur?
Uh calling the shots, um deciding who I want to collaborate with, deciding who I want to work with, deciding what products to promote, um, saying yes to what lights me up.
Mhm.
And in the very beginning, it can be lonely if you don't put yourself out there. But once you do, look at these entrepreneur friends. Look at you, like that I could call up in a heartbeat and say, "Hey, I need your advice. What do you
Yeah.
think of this?" You don't have to be in that corporate setting to feel supported, but you
No.
do learn to support yourself and trust your gut. So I would say that one of the biggest blessings is trusting. I've definitely
Mhm.
become more trusting in myself, trusting in the universe, the divine, the world's order. It's all going to work out, you know?
I love it, and I agree with you, and I've even feel that with podcasters, like, it can be such a lonely it can feel so lonely and feel like, "What am I doing this for?" Like, looking at the numbers, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh," but when that is just my goal for this year is, like, to bring more female podcasters together to create community so it feels less alone. And it's like the questions you ask yourself, like, is this a good episode title? Is this a good episode topic? Is this a good interview? Or like, does my cover art like then you have somebody to bounce those ideas off of who are another podcaster because that can feel lonely. So
Totally. I love that you created that. And you
we're
attract the best women and podcasters too. So that's
it's
awesome.
been
No, I
fun.
think community is really important. And as we are, podcasters, entrepreneurs, we all need these containers to share and grow in and give each other ideas and support and accountability and all sorts of things that come with that. So yeah, I think it's been a huge blessing. I wouldn't trade it again. There have been times when I've thought about, wouldn't it be nice? That steady paycheck and whatever.
I know, right? Every once in a while, like, oh, should I go get a job? And my husband's like, you really want to? Why you say that? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
you are a pro interviewer, which is not the case for
Listen.
every podcaster, but I know with time it gets easier. So talk to us about what are the tips and tricks that we can be using to really have amazing deep conversations that aren't service level that pull the audience in because you're wonderful at that.
I love you for saying I'll say what I think that what I needed work on, and this is what I'm going to say that this is what I've learned. What
Mhm.
I've learned because I needed the work. I tend to interrupt. I'm an interrupter at home. Like, I can't wait. My kids are like, "Mom, just let me finish my sentence." I I am learning to let my guest speak because sometimes I want to just be like, "Yeah, me too." Like, it's about them. So I'm learning that I have gotten so much better at that, I think. And I would say that when you let the guests speak, they usually guide you into what they want to talk about. Because if I'm so robotic about what my questions are, but that's not really where they want to go, like, it's not a performance. That's another thing. Like, I can be, dramatic. I'm not trying to perform, but if you don't perform and you just show up and you have a conversation, you forget that there's a camera. That's when the best conversations happen.
That's so good. So, do you prepare questions? Like, how do you go into an interview where you're like not totally flying by the seat of your pants, but you're not super strict? Because I think
Yeah,
that that's the balance most people are looking for.
I totally. It's so funny. Like, there's certain people that I connected with you immediately. Never met you in person, but
Mm.
I just love you. I knew that our conversation was going to not need any rigidity. It was just going to flow. But I
Mhm.
have this other woman, she's canceled on me twice. She's kind of like, she's a big deal and I was excited and she said it's going to happen, but I was so nervous when it was about to happen. She canceled 2 hours before it was supposed to happen last week. She said and she wasn't feeling well, it's fine. Point is that I was like the
Mhm.
questions were ready and I think that I'm actually when that happens, when it does eventually happen if it happens, I think I just need to go in there and prep myself that it's very everyone's just a person with a story. And just like if you mess up, so what? it's editable, right? And um yes, I do make questions beforehand, but I don't, because I don't want to read it on camera, it just tends to be there.
Mhm.
And there are times when I get off a conversation with somebody and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot to ask them this, but it wasn't supposed to be. So I tend to think once I've done it, I try not to like go back and lament about it.
Mhm.
Did you ever do that? Like where
Oh.
you worry how it came out or how many times I said amazing. I used to say amazing like too many times. I probably still do. And if I go back and watch it, I'm just going to get annoyed. Like, don't even think about it. It happened. They loved it. It was good. Just let it go and go on to the next one. That's kind of where I'm at these days.
No. No, I get that. And yes, I am a person who like thinks about past conversations in my head and reworks them and replays them. And I should have said this,
Mhm.
but no, I get that so much. I love those tips. I think that it is so good. I agree. I've had some people on my show where I'm so nervous and I always have
Mhm.
to remind myself they're just somebody with a
Yeah.
story.
And they
And
said yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You're
they're
amplifying their
honored.
message. Yeah.
Yes, so good. Okay, so this is so fun. You went from, and you still do, you have Gilly's Organics, and then you created Everyday Rockstars, and then there's kind of a new layer to all of this that do you feel like it's kind of, I want you to share about it, but do you feel like
Yes.
it's kind of developed from this journey of like moving through podcasting into this new thing that was on your heart?
Sort of. It's like it's always been something that I've done. So ever since I started Gilly's Organics like 2 decades ago, people would come to me, local women would say like, "Hey, can we get coffee? How did you start a business?" And I would always just do it, give a little help. And
Mhm,
then in 2000 and like 15, 16, um, I Fund Women, which is a
mhm,
crowdfunding platform for female entrepreneurs, asked me to help them coach their female entrepreneurs with their video marketing, like with their marketing. Because I did a campaign with them because I knew the founder and I did a really, if I don't say so myself, I did a really good job with my marketing and my video, and it raised them like the most money on their platform at the time. So
uh,
she's like, "Can you stay on and help the other women?" And it was like nominal pay. I said, "Sure, no problem." And I went to a few events where they asked me to speak. One was like Microsoft. And I went to these events and I spoke. And women started asking me to coach them. And I would coach them with their campaigns for I Fund Women. But then one day someone said, "Hey, can you coach me in my business?" I said, "Sure, what's your campaign?" And she said, "No campaign, just can you coach me?" And I was like, "I don't have any like certifications, but sure." And then slowly over the years, and I didn't really advertise it, but over the years, I've taken on like one or two women throughout the year, word of mouth only, coaching them mindset, pricing, website, social media, things I knew. And they were happy. I was happy. Some paid a little bit, some paid a little bit more, some paid not hardly anything. And some were just like, free coffees with people. And then I was currently working with this one woman and she lost her business partner. Like they split and she was struggling. And I was like, "Don't worry, I'll still coach you." Like she still wanted to do the business. And then I was like, I think I'm just going to pull this all together. Rockstar Collective, call it like, because
mm,
Everyday Rockstars, they're all rockstar entrepreneurs. And I'm going to invite women for a very small fee, like, but skin in the game so that they feel like they're going to show up um, to my group collective. And this one woman who I was coaching was so happy because it was like a tenth of the price of what she was paying. And now she gets this group. So just,
mhm,
I would say that to answer your question, the podcast definitely helps. And it helps because it's reach. I'm reaching more people. I get to help inspire other people through the stories of my guests on Everyday Rockstars. Then, if they want to be part of a group of women that are like that, then they can join my collective. So that's once a week on Wednesdays at noon. We have a conversation and we do goals, long term, short term. We do guided meditations. We're really honest and really supportive of each other. And it's helped Gilly's Organics and Everyday Rockstars. So it helps me too, I have to
Yeah.
say. I know you
Oh,
have one, right, Kylie? Don't you have you have a mastermind, right?
yep, my mastermind just kicked off. Yep, yeah. So it's so good. Well, okay, so I want to know. Well, one thing I was going to say would be great is these sound like amazing women to bring on your podcast and interview, and then to use to grow the collective. But okay, Gilly, I love you. I adore you. I love everything you're doing. You're doing so many wonderful things in this world. Please share with my audience how they can find you. All of the things. Get the Gilly's Organics, listen to the podcast, join the collective.
You're so adorable. Do you ever know that saying, like, the busier you are, sometimes like you're more organized and you get more things done. Like when you just have one thing. Some people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, just sometimes it's all about the podcast, sometimes it's all about the business.
No.
But I've had the absolute pleasure and it's a blessing that I've been able to hire people that help me. I used to do everything. I used to put stickers on jars and do demos at supermarkets and like, it's not that I don't still do all those things, but I now have somebody doing some TikTok shop and editing my podcast. So I'm lucky to say that I've trusted in other people and they've been wonderful and just like over over delivered and just made my life so much easier. So I think that I can't go without saying that. So you can find me. You can find our products at gillysorganics.com, GILLYS Organics, ORGANICS.com. And at Gilly's Organics, same spelling, on TikTok and Instagram. Everyday Rockstars on Apple, Spotify, and Everyday Rockstars, one word, on Instagram. So check us out. And then if you want to learn more about the collective, it's not up on the website yet, but I did get the URL, everyday-rockstars.com. So soon there'll be a place where you can join the collective. You could recommend guests for the podcast. You can sponsor an episode. But I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, you could just DM me on Instagram at Everyday Rockstars. So I can't wait to meet you. Kylie, I love you. You're just like the biggest rock star I know. And thank you for helping me grow my podcast. And I learned so much from you.
Well, it's so fun. And, to anyone listening, this is just one of the beautiful things about podcasting, the relationships that can come from it. So Gillies, it was so fun to have you on. You're such a treat and you're so special. And I just can't wait to see what you continue to do with the podcast. So thank you for continuing to show up and putting it on Apple and Spotify and all the things. But
Thanks.
I will have everything linked up. Yes, for sure.
Love you. Thank you so much, Kylie. I'm so grateful to you. You're so special.